Hey, it's Martavis Bryant, a.k.a. Martin McBride, and you listen to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
How's it going?
What are you doing?
I was opening the doors to the DeLorean.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing very good because it is Tuesday and Monday Night Football is done. I'm happy with that because that was a monstrosity.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the Star Wars preview at halftime.
That was the best part of the game, for sure. No question.
But what about Sam Bradford's quarterbacking skills?
That's it's terrible, man.
Sam Bradford.
Oh.
I think the problem is the cross-eyed thing. I think I never realized. He's like cross-eyed.
Right.
He needs to get that fixed because he's throwing. Well, I don't know, but he needs to because he's throwing it to the wrong team over and over and over in the touchdown in the end zone.
That wasn't very good. You guys heard Martavis Bryant at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, remember that guy?
Yeah, I remember him now.
He's pretty good.
Well,
we're back to the future.
I was going to say, it all kind of fits together because Marty McBride, tomorrow's October 21st, Back to the Future Day, 2015. Yeah, I know the year. Thank you.
Well, that's very important.
I agree.
2014 will not be Back to the Future Day.
So that's why I opened the door to the DeLorean because tomorrow we'll climb inside.
And
so we'll get ready for that.
Sammy Biscuits, I was just ready. I was giving him the pass on the beginning of the season. He looked like he was heating up. The offense was clicking. The running game finally showed up for reals this time with DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
But Sam Bradford did not.
Week 6 is in the books. We've got a good show for you today. This is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. We have our Waiver Wire show today. We're going to give you all the news and notes from around the NFL, the fantasy world. We're going to tell you who you need to sign and give you some ideas of what we would spend on them in terms of waiver priority and fab budget. And we're going to what else do we got today? We've got our full stream ahead, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Full stream ahead. I don't know why that's not sitting there in the notes. That got confusing. So we've got a great show for you today. If you want to get a hold of the show, you can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can visit us on YouTube, and you can check out the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. That's where you can submit a question to the show. You can also visit us on jointhefoot.com. Get exclusive content, exclusive episodes of the show. We do a bonus episode every single week for our supporters on Join the Foot, which is reaching, almost 800 people?
Yeah, it's a great time, man. People are talking fantasy football over there. Yeah, answering each other's questions. It's a party. It's a fantasy party over there.
I should mention this, Mike. I said on the show yesterday that I did not want to join a sleeper bot clan with you.
Yes,
I don't want to be a part of anything with you. Is what I said. Well, I was recruited to another clan on the basis that I don't want to be in your clan, and I have joined, and now we are competing with one another. I think
you will never get my cookies.
Well, yeah, that's funny. All right, so quick question. How aggressive are you? This is week 6 going into week 7. How aggressive are you right now at this point of the season with your waiver wire budgets?
Depends on team need.
Or just in waivers in general?
It depends on team need. If you're 3-3 or under, I'm very aggressive. This is the time where you have to get the guys you want. You got to overspend. You got to do what you got to do to press forward. If I know I'm in the playoffs, I'm still aggressive. I think I'm more aggressive now than I am in the weeks prior to now. But I never want to blow my entire. I like having if you've got $100, let's say, I like the last few weeks having at least $15, preferably $20 of my fab budget available to outbid people for playoff matchups. When they run out on defenses and streaming quarterbacks,
handcuffs,
tight ends if you need them, things like that. Yeah, and also when it gets to playoffs and there's only a few teams, I like being able to just look at the team I'm playing against and go, he needs a blank, I don't need him, I'm taking him.
Mike?
I agree. It depends on your team need, but if a situation comes up, like let's say you're a playoff bound team and you are in a running back pit because you desperately need the help. I was aggressive last week on West. It didn't work out this week. I still am holding on to West. Like I've had some people ask, do I drop him already? No, he's still getting the majority of the snaps. Give him a couple weeks to see what happens. But then this week, hopefully you were listening to my nonsensical Christian Michael love, which is coming to fruition now. So hopefully he was already on your roster. But if he's not, an opportunity like that to get a guy who could turn into the starting running back for Dallas. Now, he's just getting the opportunity. Nothing has been crowned. They didn't say, well, Joseph Randle stinks, he's off the team. Christian Michael will be given an opportunity, but
if he takes advantage.
But if he takes advantage, it becomes the starting running back of the Dallas Cowboys, a guy you can get off of waiver. Those guys don't just pop up all the time, is what I mean. So, yes, I would be very aggressive trying to get him.
Absolutely. I agree. And we're going to talk about that at length in our waiver wire section, so we'll save it till then. One of the things we like to do at least once a week is read a review from our listeners. We appreciate those reviews on iTunes and wherever you're listening. They mean a lot to the show. That's one of the ways you can support us here at the Fantasy Footballers. So we're going to go ahead and read one of those reviews right now.
Review-A-Saures-Rex.
This one comes in from A. Summer. It's titled Victories Withstood. You guys made it sound so easy. Just listen, apply the information, and win. It sounded like a Billy Mays pitch. Too good to be true.
Billy Mays here
Resting
for the Fantasy Footballers.
But then
Not too bad.
I began to trust your system. Stream a QB? It was scary. Then McCown put up 35 points for my team, and I withstood a victory. And don't even get me started on the points I'm getting from Greg Olson. Keep up the good worwork with the advice and entertaining repartee. One small piece
Isn't it
of...
repartee?
No, it's repartee.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was going to be so impressed if you got that word right.
Keep up the good work with the advice and the entertaining repartee. One small piece of constructive criticism. You all do terrible Chewbacca impressions. How dare you, A. Summer? Oh, that was terrible.
You tried to put Summer in their place.
You
failed.
I got stood back. Well, thank you very much, A. Summer, for your 5-star review. We appreciate it. If you listen on iTunes, please give us that review, or wherever you're listening. YouTube, subscribe, please.
What do you think it's like for a new listener to the show to hear so many people reference withstanding victories? Do they just think that we are dumb?
No, they catch on.
Because we are dumb.
Our listeners are very smart, and they realize, oh, this is something that must have happened on the show when, say, maybe they guessed that Jason said something ridiculous. Like that you need to, that if you're able to withstand a couple victories, then the guy is worth holding on to.
Sure.
And that will never, ever die.
I did not expect
No, I didn't either.
that to catch on to the degree that it has. Because most people, now when we get emails, they thank us for withstanding victories.
Yeah.
They could withstand some victories in the
We're going to
league.
withstand a championship this year, fellas.
That's right. Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
I had this teeny impulse when that was playing to sing at the end of that.
Oh, what were you?
But
gonna
I had
sing?
to news from the league or something. I don't know what it was going to be. It was just going
from the league.
Yeah, it was going to be like that.
Uh-oh.
That's why I didn't do it. All right. Mike McCarthy said that Eddie Lacy's carries were reduced because he is beat up, and the Packers will ride a hot hand between Starks and Lacy.
Uh-oh. I'm not fully panicked on this because this is kind of the
He said that before.
said
I
this
will say that
before.
he has said that before.
and the hot hand always turned out to be Eddie Lacy.
Right.
However, this year, James Starks has legitimately outplayed Eddie Lacy. I'm of the ilk that it is the ankle, and that this bye week is a great time for Eddie Lacy to heal up. Maybe he can come back full strength and be the wrecking ball that we love of Eddie Lacy.
I had a different thought of why he wasn't out there.
Oh, why is that?
That they didn't want to put him out there in those gold pants too much.
Yeah, those I
Those
feel like
didn't
those were
accentuate-
beige. They were beige colored
They were.
pants.
I love the throwback uniform.
Well, I like the uniforms, but man, the contours.
It just
It was very
looks
clear.
so cellulite-y.
Oh, come on now.
No, it really does, man.
Okay, real quick. Where do you stand on the Steelers throwback uniforms?
Oh, come on.
talking
the
Bumblebee?
Bumblebees?
Yeah.
Well, of course you like them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I
Exactly.
like them as well. When I
They
first
are
saw them, I was like,
awesome.
these are ridiculous. And now that I've gotten used to it, I
they're
love when the
they're
bumblebees
vintage.
come
They're
out.
classic. Those are great uniforms.
They're fine. They're fine. All right.
I
Gary,
don't, however, like the beige pant.
here's
Packers.
the thing. Whether he said this before about Lacey or not, you don't like hot hand
No, you
approach
do not.
being associated with what you drafted to be your number one running back. I don't think anybody saw Lacey's performance thus far coming, and he is a bust thus far. So
Are you selling?
I am buying Starks, and I'm willing to sell Lacey to somebody. Yeah.
You want to buy it? You want to make a trade?
What I mean is I'm buying Starks if I'm a Lacey owner.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then if not, I'm selling Lacey, yes. Broncos coach Gary Kubiak said that Emmanuel Sanders escaped a significant injury with the AC joint sprain. He's got 14 days before his next game thanks to the bye. Mike Zimmer said that Stefon Diggs has taken, or at least left open the possibility that he's taken Charles Johnson's starting job. Johnson has been hurt. This is something we'll talk about at length in our waiver wire segment because we will be talking about Stefon Diggs. Jay Gruden said Deshaun Jackson is questionable for Week 7. He acknowledged a setback in the recovery for
That
Djax.
sucks.
Yeah, well, a guy's a burner. He's probably stretching it out, and he feels it again. And Ty Montgomery is banged up but avoided a high ankle sprain.
It's good.
And also on Packers news, this is not good. Offensive coordinator Tom Clement said that Randall Cobb's shoulder injury has inhibited his ability to get open. Apparently, the shoulder is crucial to getting open in the NFL.
Well, if when you're talking about things like press coverage, I would imagine it is. And
Well, not only that, but you saw in Emmanuel
That is
Sanders.
an excellent point.
No, you actually did see Emmanuel Sanders right after he got his same shoulder hurt this last game. He was not able to run as fast because literally, as silly as it sounds, like one of the arms is not pumping along with you, and you saw it when he was running. He was overthrown constantly. That the last drive after he injured that. So it is a possibility, and they're going on bye week. It's a good thing. Plus Devontae Adams being back, I think, will help Cobb out.
Yep.
Mariota, this morning news broke, sprained MCL, should miss several weeks.
Yeah, they're saying he could be back this week. I think that's ridiculous. I don't see a reason you put your brand new franchise quarterback out there when your team is not in it right now.
But he's walking around, Mike. Don't you want him
Hasn't
to be
Big
hit
Ben
by-
has Big Ben been walking around for weeks,
Yes.
cheering on the sideline? Des Bryant, he could play. I don't think he will, but he
I don't
could
think
play
he-
this week.
Yeah.
The news is very wishy-washy on they're not ruling him out. Let's put it that way.
Jerry
So,
Jones is not ruling him
well,
out. And
he's not ruling his team out either.
Everything
so.
is great when you're Jerry Jones.
And then we'll talk about it later, but Christine Michaels getting first-team reps in practice this week, and so I'm going to be wrong about I might be wrong about him. We'll see. Any big highlights from last night other than the Star Wars trailer? There was a football game. Sam Bradford looked like he had deer in the headlights, like we talked about. Zach Ertz could have had a much bigger game if Bradford had been on point. He threw another end zone interception, which is just, one touchdown, 3 picks. ODB played, he scored.
Early and then
he allegedly avoided setback,
That's
which is
always
good
a good thing.
He
Yeah.
didn't do very much in the second half, but we hear he didn't re-injure his hamstring. I don't know if you saw the retweet that I put out. Someone had taken, I don't know if they did it or how they caught it, but a vine of the botched snap where the center snapped it and Sam Bradford was clearly not ready. But it's just slow motion of Sam,
I saw the eyes.
of Sam Bradford's
I saw it.
face.
Yeah, I watched that when I saw it live. Man. But that's how he looks right now. He just doesn't look comfortable. There were plays that I thought communication was broken down between the sideline and on the field, and they won the game. They won the game kind of going away, but the defense played well, really well.
that was my takeaway from the game.
Yes.
Was the Philly defense. The Philly defense looks. They all year they've been pretty darn good. They haven't given up very many points to the opposing offense. Really, Sam Bradford likes to give up the most points for their.
I will say, DeMarco was my start of the week, wasn't he?
He
Yeah.
was.
He had a dandy
played
game.
well.
So
Played
all right.
very good.
First
So-
100-yard game as an Eagle.
Yeah, now we got a lot to talk about today for waivers. That is such an important thing in the middle part of the year. But before we get to waivers, I want to take a second and tell you about one of our great sponsors. We talked about it yesterday, Harry's Harry's is a fantastic product. I use it. Andy uses it. If you have a razor at home, if you shave, don't let shaving be such a pain. It can be uncomfortable, cause razor burn, nicks. You have to have good blades. We're talking 5-bladed blades made in Germany. These are not your run-of-the-mill garbage blades that you get, and they're also not super expensive. You know, why pay $32 for an 8-pack of blades? It's half the price at Harry's, and with Harry's, you can get a $5 off if you use our code FOOTBALLERS off their $15 starter pack with a razor, moisturizing shave cream, and 3 razor blades. So here's what you do. Go to harrys.com now, and Harry will give you $5 off if you type in our coupon code FOOTBALLERS with your first purchase. That's harrys.com. Enter coupon code FOOTBALLERS at checkout for $5 off your first purchase, and start shaving better today.
And we'd also like to thank our other sponsor of the day, SeatGeek. SeatGeek, as you've heard us talk about, is a fantastic service for buying ticket. And if you download the SeatGeek app and you use our promo code FOOTBALLERS, you'll get a $20 rebate off your first SeatGeek purchase. Look, SeatGeek, they pull in ticket options from hundreds of online ticket sellers to create a one-stop shop for tickets. When you shop on SeatGeek, you are seeing virtually every ticket option available for that game. No need to go anywhere else. They got this great feature called Deal Scored, ranks the tickets from 1 to 100 using a color-coded interactive map. The app is fantastic.
We were using it yesterday.
It is extremely easy to use because we all talked about this. I'm not sure why we don't have our tickets yet for the Monday night game with the Cardinals at home, but we're looking into it, and we're going to use SeatGeek to get our tickets because not only is it a terrific app, a terrific sponsor for the show, but boom, $20 rebate.
Yep, got to do it.
So here's what we need the Foot Clan to do. You grab the free SeatGeek app today. You enter the promo code FOOTBALLERS in the app. SeatGeek will send you a $20 rebate after you make your first SeatGeek purchase, and every ticket purchased on SeatGeek is backed by a 100% guarantee. You're covered. Don't worry about it. Download the SeatGeek app. Use promo code FOOTBALLERS today.
Yeah, we were checking out that Baltimore Cardinals game coming up on Monday.
Let's go.
And what's neat is it's exactly how I want to search for a ticket, which is like you see the map and you can zoom around, look around the stadium, click on the ticket you want. It was just super easy. So we're going to get into our waivers section right now and talk about some guys you should pick up.
Put me in, coach.
Well, you guys want to start talking wide receivers?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to do this a little bit different today. Maybe. Okay. I want you to give me the top wide receiver on your board, waiver wire wise.
The top.
If you had to sign one wide receiver this week, who would it be?
It would be Marvin Jones.
Okay, Cincinnati wide receiver.
Absolutely.
991 and 1 this week.
We talked this man up as a sleeper, and he has arisen.
He has.
The man has awoken. He has pulled a full Lazarus
25
from missing his entire season last year. And he overtook that number 2 job quickly, and the Bengals are firing on all cylinders. That offense is spectacular. You want to stop the run? Fine. The pass is opened up with A.J. Green, Marvin Jones, Tyler Eifert. And Marvin Jones is now a huge part of the offense. Like Andy said, huge stat line last week. That's not his first big game, but people need to start paying attention. He is a legitimate I'm not going to call him a 2 yet, but I'll call him a low-end wide receiver.
Well, he's the number 25 wide receiver, so, yeah, I mean, I
guess
guess
he's
not
very close to it, too.
Yeah,
a low-end 2 for me.
So the question I asked someone else was, would you take Decker or Marvin Jones right now?
I'd still take Decker.
Okay.
But a part of that is the Bengals are going on bye this week. Decker has already passed his bye. And Decker is scoring a touchdown every single game he plays right now.
And he doesn't have Tyler Eifert to steal.
Right. The Jets are similar where their offense is running full steam, but they're very close.
Yeah, Marvin Jones needs to be had on your team. However, I've got a different number 1 wide receiver for this week. The wide receiver I want to pick up because I'm going for upside, not that Marvin Jones doesn't have it, but is Stefon Diggs. We watched him. We've talked about him a little bit the last few weeks, how Andy were watching a game. We're just blown away by some guy who was just making these unbelievable catches. And it was like, oh, who's Diggs? Oh, yeah, that's that rookie, 5th-round rookie. So you've got a guy who was drafted, brought in. He was behind 2 guys, so he didn't even play in the first 3 games. 0 catches, 0 receptions in those first 3 games.
It's tough to catch a pass when you don't play.
5th-round rookie.
5th-round rookie, and he comes in. Now Charles Johnson gets injured, so he comes into the starting lineup. And all he does is play phenomenal. That first game that we were talking about where we saw he got 6 for 87 two games ago. And that was the game where those 6, not all 6 for 87 are made the same. And those were not made the same. Those were catches that
that was against Denver, by the way.
Yeah.
Denver DBs. He caught 6 for 67. I'm sorry, 6 for 87. And then last week, he caught 7 for 129. He is a talented guy. He's getting open, and he's making tough catches. You know, you look for these, guys who they don't play in the beginning. They're just sitting on the waiver wire. They find their opportunity, and that's what's changed. It's just opportunity. That's what happens with rookie wide receivers, though. We saw the same exact thing last year, and we had a plethora of them where it takes some time to get in the offense, get your opportunity, and then,
Odell Beckham was on everybody's waiver wire when he was picked up after
everybody
3 or 4
can
weeks.
see. I mean, the coaches can see what we can see. The trust of Teddy Bridgewater is growing in Stefon Diggs. He's a go-to type of guy. They both, if you listen to them talk about each other, they're building a rapport there. And the way he is in and out of his breaks, he's quicker than everybody else. You want Greg Jennings out there in and out of breaks, or do you want a rookie with speed, youth, upside, and apparently hands and that we didn't expect? So I think Diggs, what kind of money do you spend on Jones? What kind of money do you spend on Diggs if you're talking fab budget?
If you're in a league that is only one fantasy footballer listener, then I think you can get Diggs decently affordable. If you're in a league where everyone's listening, pay the piper.
But you would pay the piper.
I would like to have a guy like that on my roster. Now, paying the piper.
Exactly how much are you going to bid
I see
in
what's
our
going on
leagues?
here.
For me, if you're on $100 fab and you have a need, right? This is need dependent. Not everybody needs, if you've got great wide receivers on your roster, don't do this. But if you need a wide receiver, I would say $10 is a worthy bid. 10%.
Yeah, that's fair. This
$10. All right.
This is a guy in Diggs that, sure, he's probably exaggerating, but Mike Wallace was looking at
I
his
saw
quote.
that.
He was comparing him to Antonio Brown. Now, that's a little bit excessive for a
Because
rookie.
Mike Wallace is such a reasonable individual.
Just say, but clearly Mike Wallace thinks that Stefon Diggs is a spectacular player. I'm not poo-pooing Diggs at all, but why I prefer Jones, higher powered offense, role secure. We believe that Diggs is going to stay involved in the offense, but Charles Johnson has shown in the past that he can be a solid wide receiver. So there's no guarantee that Diggs takes his spot, but I agree that Diggs is on my radar if I need a wide receiver.
All right, I'm going to mention one more guy for a 1-week spot start stream type of guy. Robert Woods this week in London. Percy Harvin did not travel with Buffalo. He is injured, and they're worried that his hip injury is going to keep him out for a significant portion of the season.
Classic Harvin.
Yeah, same with the hip too, right? And then we all know that Sammy Watkins was injured. Yep. I believe he traveled, but he's like on crutches.
Yeah,
there's no way he's
I would
playing.
be
So
shocked
Robert
if he plays.
Woods is a high target type of guy. He had 6 last week. He'll probably have more this week in that matchup in London. So if you need to spot start somebody, it doesn't feel great throwing him out there, but he'll perform for you.
And Michael Crabtree, if he's on your wire, Michael Crabtree has been
Coming off the bye, right?
Has been a target monster. He might be on the wire because people dropped him for the bye week, but he's been playing great. He's got Amari Cooper to offset some of the defense, and there's talk in Oakland of getting him even more involved in the offense than he already is. So Crabtree's a great guy to grab.
All right, let's turn to the running backs. Who's your number one running back pickup this week? Because there are some guys, it depends who you are, but who's your number one?
My number one guy this week would be Theo Riddick because Kristen Michael's already on my bench.
So
Kristen Michael is clearly my number one pickup. A guy like we just talked about, a guy who could potentially turn into a starting running back at this point of the season from your waiver wire. You have to take that chance.
Isn't it the same logic that we had with West or last week where they don't grow on trees?
Yeah,
These starting running backs don't grow on trees. So you might as well take a shot, especially if you're a middling type of record. You're 3-3 right now through 6 weeks, and the difference on your team is you're rolling out Eddie Lacy right now. Would you like to put another guy on your team that we're not saying he will be, we're saying he could be, and could be is really good at running back.
Yeah, in any kind of record, personally for me, I'm grabbing Michael because let's say you're stacked at running back. Well, if he turns into a starting running back, you have another chip that you can trade. Somebody wants a starting running back. Everybody wants starting running backs.
So
I do have a question.
Okay.
If you're an Eddie Lacy owner, are you signing Michael over Starks?
No.
I'm not. I'm signing Starks. I'm
I think
locking
if you're
up that
you try to sign both. There's no rule that says you can't. But I would go Starks over Michael because that's a need and potential. Kristen Michael is potential, but not necessarily a need. And if you've got Lacy, then So that would be me personally. And speaking personally, what I'm going to be looking for on my waivers is probably going to be Ahmed Bradshaw. Ahmed Bradshaw, we saw he came right in, and man, is he a crowd favorite. That crowd rooted and hollered for him.
Because he was great last year.
Yes, he was. He was actually, when he was playing, he was a top 5 back. Now, he's a handcuff. And I'm saying this to the Gore owners. If you've got a Frank Gore on your team, then you got to have an Ahmed Bradshaw on your team. That has to happen. I don't think he has standalone value, but you have to have him. And the reason that my number one claim is not Christine Michael is because all of the leagues I play in, so does Mike. But otherwise, he would absolutely be my number one claim.
So I will shoot out some information about Mr. Theo.
Yes,
Theo Riddick.
Yeah.
Snap counts at the highest they've been past 2 games that he's played. Zack Zinner
is
out
dead
for the season.
Oh, man.
Very sorry for him. He's not actually dead,
stinks.
but he's seriously injured. And for a young, undrafted guy, that is tough. So Joique Bell's been unproductive. Amir Abdullah keeps putting the ball on the turf and can't be necessarily trusted. And honestly, in open field, when you watch Theo Riddick catch a pass, he's been as good, if not better, than Amir Abdullah. He makes somebody miss almost every time he catches the ball in the passing game. And he actually got a few carries last week. Riddick is kind of like, it sounds crazy, but he's kind of like a higher floor flex type play where you're probably going to get 8 points out of Riddick, worst case scenario, and maybe he catches a touchdown. He's not a superstar, but opportunity mixed with talent, I think he's a really good sign this week.
Yeah,
Somebody played him against me last week, and it wasn't the end of the world, 10 points.
To go back, someone had asked
Back in
me
time?
back to the Green Bay Dallas discussion. Somebody had sent me a Twitter question of this: who do you like more? This is a trade. Would you rather have the Green Bay backfield, so Lacy and Starks, or would you rather have Joey Randall and Kristen Michael?
I would rather have the Green Bay backfield.
That's
Me
what
too.
I said.
And the reason is because Aaron Rodgers versus dead Tony Romo.
Well, again, he's not dead. We have to really specify here. Apparently, everybody's dead if they're not playing.
If you're not playing, you're dead to me.
And another running back I really like is Charles Sims. And Charles Sims trust me, it's kind of gross for me to say that. He's one of those names where, what, really? Charles Sims? But Doug Martin is playing out of his mind right now. Well, Charles Sims is doing quite well. If you look at his numbers, he's catching a lot of passes. He's running the ball decently. I believe in our scoring system, he's basically a running back 2, which is extremely unexpected for a guy like Sims. And he may be on your wire.
Yep. He's in the Riddick, Chris Thompson category of players. But, yeah, he's had some opportunity, and he's performed even when Martin's done well because he's on the field quite a bit. So, obviously, James Starks, big pickup. We gave you the news at the top of the show. Hot hand approach. Starks has played better. Starks had a big game last week. And, if they have to sit down Lacy for a couple games to get him healthy, you're talking about big impact from James Starks. Also, pay attention to Knile Davis. If he's just sitting out there because West, was the guy everyone went after, you can sign Knile Davis. You might get some goal line carries from him. And Chris Thompson is involved as well and would have had a better game last week had he not been a little banged up. So, tight ends, if you're signing somebody at the tight end position, Julius Thomas got scooped up last week. I need somebody to start, Mike. Who do I start?
From your waiver wire?
Yeah, man, I got to start one.
Then there's really no reason to not take a chance on Ben Watson. Take a chance on.
Yeah.
Because we saw the trust there.
He started his career in 1988. Is that correct?
That actually 1985.
85. Oh, yeah. Okay.
You were a little bit off.
All right. Is that Hill Valley? Is that where he went to high school?
Yeah. But Ben Watson, I from the sound of his post-game interview, I don't think even Ben Watson was expecting that game. But there was a ton of Josh Hill hype coming into the season because of the hole that Jimmy Graham had left, and we
we tried to mitigate that.
But I'm saying back before even the Ben Watson stuff was coming in over the summer, it was just that we feel like there should be a tight end who can succeed in the New Orleans system. And Ben Watson he's slowly been creeping up. And he's never been a bad player. He's always been very solid, and he's on the field. He can block. He can catch. And do I expect another game anywhere similar to the last Thursday game? No. But if you can get a tight end who's getting you 4 for 60, then you are succeeding in your tight end category. And Ben Watson is a guy who may be able to do that depending on a matchup.
12 targets says a few things about the trust level that you're building with your quarterback. Like Mike said, we don't expect him to get 12 targets and 10 catches for 127 yards probably ever again. That was his career best game. But it means something. And Mike said he's had an okay career. He's had a 68 reception season. He's had a 102 target season. And by the way, he started his career in 2004.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's somebody you could fly on in a good matchup. Obviously, they play better at home. I'd be wanting to roll him out there at home. Anybody else? I mean, Zack Ertz is a guy that's dependent on some performance from Bradford, which we haven't seen. Crocket Gilmore was back. He caught a few passes.
I would throw out. He's owned in most leagues, but Julius Thomas, if he's not owned in your league because he's been injured and
he will be now. Yeah.
Yeah, he should be, and he would be the guy that I would grab first if he's available, but he's probably not available. I wonder. I'm going to look that up.
Apparently, Crocket Gilmore had a majestic lion's mane of hair when he was in college to go along with his goatee. He has since trimmed it up, but I highly suggest people go look at Crocket Gilmore in college.
Thank you, Mike. We'll be back out to you for the hair update later in the week.
It is a treat.
All right, at the quarterback position, there's not a lot of guys I would say, you got to go roster if you're not streaming. But Blake Bortles, Blake Bortles is the one guy that we have down on our list because he's what is he in our league? I'm curious. Is he 6'5"?
I'm going to go to all leagues. News alert: Blake Bortles is the number 5 quarterback.
Yeah, Jason and I were talking about this at dinner last night. The fact that somebody texted me and they said, "Is Blake Bortles for real?"
Maybe.
and how funny. It's just funny to me what fantasy does.
Yeah.
Because for real, what do you mean? I mean, like
for real in real life or for fantasy football?
The
Right,
fact
that was
that
the
this
point.
disparity, I mean, the fact that question has to be asked is just humorous to me because he's got the Jay Cutler going on now where it's like
throwing picks, losing games, putting up numbers.
Exactly.
So he's great in fantasy, but he's not a real good
everybody
quarterback.
loves him, but I mean, he's still got a long way to go as a pro.
And that being said, from a fantasy perspective, Blake Bortles is definitely a great streaming option when it comes to matchups, but he's not matchup proof by any means. He has actually had a run of pretty good matchups. We've picked him as our stream of the week because of some of those matchups, and again this week has a pretty good matchup. But if he's going up against a really top flight defense, I wouldn't trust it, even though he could. But I would probably go with someone else.
Am I starting Blake Bortles against Buffalo this week?
You better believe it.
You are.
Yeah,
I think
we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I would.
Are you kidding me?
No, not at all.
Buffalo's pass defense has not been.
I realize that. I realize that they've been bad against fantasy defenses, but I don't like Bortles traveling to London to play Buffalo, coming off a loss. We're gonna have a water bet later.
Okay.
I can promise you that. Defensive streamers this week. Who do you like to play this week?
So there's a couple teams that I like. I like the Steelers against the Chiefs. The Steelers defense has really transformed into a team that you can kind of depend on. They've been a joke basically the last couple years, but they've got new
Harrison's back.
Yeah, Harrison's back with the new D coordinator. His name is Butler. His name is escaping me.
Keith Butler.
Yeah, I kind of like the Browns against the Rams.
Now, see, what's funny about those two matchups, Steelers and Chiefs, I like the Chiefs against the Steelers.
Their defense?
Yeah. And I like the Rams against the Browns at home. So both of those sides of things, I mean, I'd rather start the Rams at home against the Browns than the Browns on the road against the Rams.
Yeah,
I can see that. But the Chiefs, really? Big Ben is supposed to be back this week.
Actually, they're moving forward.
That would change everything.
Yes, that would change a lot.
I would
they
not
are moving
recommend
forward right now as Landry Jones is the starter. They're going to test Ben on Wednesday
There you
and see
go.
how that goes.
Yeah, I would completely
Okay.
withdraw all Chiefs recommendations with prejudice. Miami. You like Miami against Houston?
Yeah, we're reaching here. You gotta find some good matchups. And
Falcons
the
defense against the Titans. Titans likely to be what Mettenberger?
Yes, and that's exactly why. And for Miami, it's their defense. I mean, they spent a whole lot of money, and their defense coming into the year was supposed to be great.
Personnel-wise, they have what it takes.
They were supposed to be great. They were clearly terrible under the Philbin regime. They looked rejuvenated. Now, maybe that's only a one-game thing because that kind of situation can happen. Brand new coach, rah, rah, rah. We're going to give it all for the one game, and then everything falls apart again. But with the talent that they had, I want to believe that Miami can get it done against Houston.
It's not bad. They're at home. That's a big piece of it. They're at home against Houston. Brian Hoyer, I do not trust. The Giants play the Cowboys. The Giants are coming off a loss. Their defense has been okay, but they're at home, and Dallas has got problems on the offensive side of the ball.
Yes.
But obviously, Mike wouldn't start him because Christine Michael's going to go off for like 4 or 5 touchdowns.
At least. Minimum.
You guys want to talk streamers? Streaming quarterback options? All right, let's do it.
Full stream ahead.
Well, let's just get right into it, Mr. Mike. Last week, by the way, we had Jason and I had Colin Kaepernick and Brian Hoyer as our streams of the week.
Yeah,
and those guys worked out big time.
Yeah, Sammy Biscuits let me down.
Number 5 was Brian Hoyer. Number 7 was Colin Kaepernick. Both quarterback ones that you grab off of waivers and play. It can be done, except
you don't just
week.
play them. You play them, and you're afraid.
Oh yeah, it's
kind of like a horror movie.
Yeah, I've never said that you feel great putting Josh McCown into your lineup, but you do it because it works.
Oh man, McCown, Hoyer, Kaepernick. This is why you don't draft quarterbacks early, people. All right, Mike, you got Blake Bortles.
I got Blake Bortles. You're talking about a guy who the last 3 weeks has essentially thrown for 300 yards each of the weeks. The running game just doesn't work that well for Buffalo. Yeah, Yeldon's having some success, but just not a great amount. And Blake Bortles, he's got weapons.
He does.
Allen Robinson. Now we have to check.
Thomas now
we have
too.
to check on Allen Robinson's injury report, but from what I hear, he's going to be fine. Allen Robinson is a dominant emerging talent. The same for Allen Hurns. Allen Hurns is really coming on in his second year. Julius Thomas is a huge boost for the passing game of that offense. I think there's too many weapons. Blake Bortles having to throw a ton and combine it. I don't like to count on garbage time, but Blake Bortles is the king. He is the reigning champion of garbage time.
So I'd be remiss to not make a Bortles bet if I don't really believe in him this week.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So where do you think he finishes?
I'm putting him as a QB1.
I give you a top 10 bet.
QB1. I'm streaming a QB1.
Yeah, but he's 5. He's 5 right now.
Yeah. Why would you not take a top 12 bet?
Because I think he might end up in the top 12.
Tomorrow is Back to the Future Day, so maybe you should call Mike Chicken.
Yeah, are you yellow, Mike?
Fine, I'll take
Top
a top 10 bet.
Water bet.
Genius.
Back to the Future, yeah.
Genius. I think it's fair to say he's going to finish outside the top 10. He's a 5 right now, and he's your stream. Top 10's fair.
I'm not hopping in on this, but I like Mike's pick. I would have picked Bortles as my stream of the week had you not picked him, and instead, because I came in third when it was time to find him, I hate every other option. But Andy, you go next, so that we can vomit last.
I've got Ryan Tannehill at home against Houston. I'm going to believe in the rejuvenation of the offense and the defense, and I just think Tannehill at home against the Houston defense that has been, what's the right word for it? Bad?
Bad.
Yeah.
So I just want to point out real quick, and at least I'm looking at our.
You know what we
scoring
should have
format.
done? We should have done it like
Just
a Tannehill versus Bortles.
Let's just change it.
Renovation?
Yeah.
Do I still hit the button again?
Yeah, hit the button again. Got it.
Water bet.
It's official. So the Houston defense points given up to quarterbacks in our scoring league, 27th. The Bills giving up points to the quarterback, 26th.
It's a great face-off. Ironically, the Texans gave up 53 attempts and 330 yards and 3 touchdowns to Blake Bortles last week.
I want to take his face off.
I love that. As a face-off fan, I love that movie.
It took me a second. Man, Nick Cage.
No more drugs for
don't we
that
miss
man.
him? Don't we miss him?
He's still around.
I could eat a peach for hours. All right, I'll take that as a segue to from my Nick Cage to my streaming quarterback of the week.
Is Peach Cobbler? Can you stream Peach Cobbler?
So I looked at Brian Hoyer as a second week in a row, but I was actually scared off by the Miami rejuvenation. I don't know what the Miami defense is going to be at home, so Brian Hoyer is out. I like the idea of Ryan Fitzpatrick at New England. Don't you play? No. He's getting ready for this. Truth be told, I like Blake Bortles best. But I'm going to go out. Last week, I picked a guy who was owned in 1% of leagues, and Brian Hoyer. I'm going to take a guy who's owned in 0%.
Fitzpatrick's owned in less?
Nope. I'm not going Fitzpatrick.
You're not going Fitzpatrick.
Oh, man.
I am
you
going.
Come on
now. And you zigged and zagged.
I zigged and zagged.
This is not your start of the week.
This is
your full stream ahead.
my stream of the week. If he's the starter, I am going to
Come on.
say, and this is great if you're in a real big pool of DFS, Landry Jones.
Hey.
Now, here's why.
Hey.
The Kansas City secondary has been terrible, and I don't know if there is anybody with better weapons. You've got
Top 20 bet.
If he's the starter, you put that, yeah.
I almost said top 30.
I like this.
But
That's
so
fine.
Kansas
This'll
City's
be
got a
fun.
very suspect secondary, and Martavis Bryant. I mean, let's just say this: Landry Jones threw 2 touchdowns last week in very limited action against the great Arizona Cardinals.
You cannot give Landry Jones credit for the Martavis Bryant touchdown.
No, I
The-
don't.
The second one.
I don't at all. It's
On the stat sheet, you can.
It's all Martavis Bryant. But it's all Martavis Bryant. It's all Antonio Brown. It's all the weapons against a terrible suspect secondary. Could people break things off and do things? I think Landry Jones is a better fit for their offense than Michael Vick was. And so
hey, it'll be an entertaining week.
yeah, it'll be fun. Honestly, I really don't like the options this week. I would go Blake Bortles, but I'm having a little bit of
There you
fun
go.
and going with the 0% owned Landry Jones.
It was funny because I thought you were going Fitzpatrick or Hoyer. And I
Which
didn't-
both are terrible.
And then there was a sentence
No, man.
afterwards.
Yeah.
It says, I'll take Landry Jones.
I can get behind that. I agree. The weapons, I think, can carry him.
Landry Jones, let me just tell you my perspective on it. It's fine. The weapons can carry him. He's going to commit turnovers against Kansas City defense. He's going to be sacked on his back. He's going to fumble the ball.
Maybe.
And they're still going to lean. You don't put a guy like that who's played one half of his career. They're going to lean on Lev Bell.
Yeah,
Right.
But a lot of those
Hey,
could
we
be
bet
in the
we
pass,
bet top
in the passing
20.
game.
You put those on the list, Mike?
Yeah.
Somebody's getting wet in the quarterback
I'll put him in. And
discussion.
did you know that last week was the first game in Le'Veon Bell's career that he did not catch a pass?
Wow.
That is kind of crazy.
Because Mike Vick stinks. And Landry Jones forever.
You know, there are different apps on my phone that I follow the scores of the games on, and one of the apps shows the best passer, the best rusher, and the best receiving yards, and it just shows the face of them. That Cardinal game went on so long, and nothing had popped in to the quarterback or the receiving spot because no one had caught a pass and no passes had been completed
Oh, right. Yes.
in the game last week, the Vic game.
No, it's not true. Antonio Brown had a negative yardage catch.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't show up. So, all right, that's it for today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed the mailbag episode and you have some ideas on who you're going to sign.
The mailbag episode.
Hopefully you enjoy
Did I say
it
mailbag?
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry, the mailbag episode's tomorrow. I meant the waiver show. And if you sign some guys, let us know.
You're
Follow
thinking
us
about
on
Landry
Twitter.
Jones over there.
On waivers? No.
Yeah.
I assure you he's on waivers.
Yeah, so let us know. We're on Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can let us know who you are deciding between. We'll try to hop on and help you out. You can check out the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Send us those questions that you have. You know, there are a lot of decisions to be made. This is getting into the nitty-gritty of the fantasy season. It's time to go. Time to get it. If you're 2-4, you're not out.
That's true.
Go get it. That's what I'm trying to do in one of my leagues.
Go get it.
Yeah.
I'm
giving you an Andy Dalton pep talk.
You are motivating me.
Thank you. Yeah, Andy Dalton's getting it done, though. I made fun of his pep talks, but he's getting it done on the field. So anything else you guys want to add before we close it today?
No, just check out jointhefoot.com. It is a spectacular growing fantasy football community with like-minded fans of the show and, of course, us.
We're there.
Living on there.
So check out the Mailbag Show tomorrow. We also have a new segment we're going to debut on that show, and we'll catch you then.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.